so much and welcome everyone. I'm delighted to be part of the Detroit Startup Week, and thank you, Abraham, for doing all the technical work. I really appreciate it. Well, it's been quite a few 3 months here at the Small Business Administration. We have been all hands on deck, all COVID, all the time. And we are starting to do a lot of these webinars for different partners. So we're really excited to be part of the Detroit Startup Week. Today, I'm going to share with you a couple of different loan programs, and just want to make sure my slides forward. Today, I'm going to talk to you about different relief programs that the SBA has available to small businesses regarding COVID-19. And then I'll also share with you some resources that are available for anybody who is in need of business consulting, virtual training, mentors. We have all kinds of free services. And for folks that are just trying to start a business at this time, our resources have been around for a long time, since 1953, and we will continue to serve the small business community, both startup businesses and those folks that have been running a business and are trying to recover from COVID-19. So the 3 programs I'm going to talk about today are the Paycheck Protection Program. And I don't think there's a soul alive in this country that hasn't heard about PPP. We've received a lot of media attention on this program. I'm also going to go over our Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or we call it EIDL. And then there's also something called SBA Debt Relief. And so I'll explain each of those, and then I'll be happy to entertain questions at the end. So let's get started with the PPP program. As you know, this was part of the CARES Act that was signed into law. I believe it was April 3rd. And let me go through the eligibility and the purpose. First of all, you have to have been in operation running your business as of February 15th of 2020. Generally speaking, our size standards indicate that you should have under 500 employees. However, I do want to stress that there are many industry codes, North American Industrial Classification Codes, or NAICS codes, that allow businesses that have well over 500 to still be eligible for any SBA loan program, depending on what your industry, and mostly that's in the manufacturing sector. This program is also available for 501c3 companies or organizations, tax-exempt nonprofits. If you're a veterans organization, if you're a tribal concern, or if you're a sole prop, an independent contractor, or you're just simply self-employed and don't have any employees. So that's the nice thing about this program. I do want to say that we have over $130 billion still left in the program, and it closes on June 30th. So if after I go through this, if this is a program that you think you might be interested, you can get in touch with us. You can visit our website. I will share all of that information. And if Abraham, you're able to share this presentation, be happy to have you do that so that people can understand where to go to get more information. And we encourage people to apply. The purpose of the Payroll Protection Program is obviously to cover payroll, wages of your employees. If you have a mortgage on a building that you operate a business out of, you can pay the interest expense on the mortgage, your rent, and utilities. And utilities can include internet, cell phones, things of that nature that you use, that you have an ongoing need to run your business. And the loan can be forgiven if you use 60% of your loan for payroll. And there are some requirements that I'll speak about. Okay, the loan amounts range from small dollar amounts, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, up to $10 million. Originally, there was a 2-year term when the legislation was passed. However, there have been some enhancements to this program. So if your loan was made after June 5th, you automatically have a 5-year term or amortization. But if your loan was made before June 5th, you could always get in touch with your lender and negotiate that longer amortization. And there is a 1% interest rate on that for the part that isn't forgivable. The loan payments are deferred, and I'll speak to that on the exact timing of that deferment. There are no fees with this program, no collateral is required, and no personal guarantee, unlike our regular SBA-backed loans. You would apply directly with your lender, and here is the the website, sba.gov, and then you can put in your zip code and find the lenders that are doing PPP programs, or PPP loans, I should say. And then if you want to see some sample documents of the documentation that will be required from your lender, you could go onto our website too, and that's a rather long link here. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, the President signed into law the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act, and this did a number of things, which I'll go over. As I mentioned earlier, extends the loan maturity from 2 years to 5 years, and you always have that option if you had a loan that was closed and dispersed before June 5th, you can go back to your lender and negotiate that longer term. But if your loan was made on June 5th or after, you automatically will get a 5-year term. And again, this is just a kind of repetitive, but if you as the borrower and your lender agreed to amend your loan documents, you can receive that 5-year maturity. So that is really helpful in stretching those payments out over a longer period of time, and making your cash flow a little bit stronger so that you can do the things that you need to do to recover from this pandemic. Maybe it's buying PPE, maybe it's having to purchase new cleaning materials or plexiglass, or any of number of the things that business owners are finding themselves having to do and to spend money on. So I think it's a really great enhancement to the program, that 5-year maturity. Now, we talk about how long you have to use the money to pay wages, and initially in the CARES Act, the terms were 8 weeks. So when you closed on your loan and your loan was funded by your lender, you had 8 weeks from that date to use the money on payroll. But Congress heard the complaints and the struggles that people were having, especially in situations where our state was shut down and business owners couldn't bring their employees back. So we've extended that term out to 24 weeks. So you have so much longer to use the money. And December 31st is the last day that you can use the money on wages and have it forgivable. You can still elect to use that 8-week period. So if you were able to bring your customers back and keep them on payroll, and you want to kind of get this loan off your books, get it forgiven, you can do that. And you could also have a period of time anywhere between the 8 weeks and the 24. So maybe at week 16, you've expended all the money that you got under PPP for wages. You're ready to have the loan forgiven. You can initiate that with your lender. So anywhere between 8 and 24 weeks, with 24 obviously being the maximum. Another feature of the Flexibility Act is that it extends the deadline for hiring employees that were laid off. And so if you received a PPP loan and you couldn't get your employees to come back, you have now until December 31st to bring them back and have them be on payroll and use the money. So that's helpful as well. There is also an exemption with the Flexibility Act. We call this the safe harbor feature, the safe harbor feature. So if you can't bring your employees back that were on payroll as of February 15th, because maybe they have a condition, an underlying condition, they're afraid to come back, they won't come back because they're on unemployment for whatever reason, and you have documentation that you extended an offer of return to work and they won't do it, you will not be penalized for that. And then if your business wasn't able to open up because of social distancing, federal regulations, state mandates like we have here in Michigan, again, you will not be penalized for that in the forgiveness calculation. So that's really helpful, again, for business owners who are trying to navigate this loan and the requirements. Again, I probably need to take this off this side because I've said it twice now. Again, the 5-year maturity is the new extension. And so that extension starts, or excuse me, the deferment. So now the second bullet, I'm talking about deferment. When SBA, you apply to your lender for forgiveness, and SBA remits the loan amount to your lender, because remember, we're guaranteeing the loan 100%, so the money's coming directly from SBA when it's forgiven. The date that we pay that lender, that's the date of the deferment, when the deferment starts. And you have, if you don't ask for forgiveness, you have 10 months after the last day of your covered period. And as I said earlier at the beginning of the webinar, June 30th still remains, as of today, the last day that the PPP program is available and loans can be approved. We just came out last week with forgiveness applications. They were sort of long and a little cumbersome. And so we have a new easy and revised full forgiveness application. So if you're self-employed and you have no employees, or if you didn't reduce your salary or wages by more than 25%, and you didn't reduce the number of hours that your employees worked, or again, if you've experienced reductions in your business activity as the result of state mandates or health directives related to COVID-19, and you didn't reduce the salary or wages more than 25%, you are eligible to use this new easy and revised full forgiveness application. The easy application requires fewer calculations and less documentation for eligible borrowers. So that's always music to the ears, right? And both the applications give you, the borrower, the option of using the original 8-week covered period or the extended 24-week, or as I said earlier, anywhere in between. Again, if you need 16, 18, 20 weeks, up to 24 weeks, you have that flexibility. So we have forms that include the loan forgiveness calculation form, the application instructions for borrowers, the application for the easy form, and the loan forgiveness application instructions for borrowers using the easy form. And on this slide, I've included all the links for those forms. So again, if the Detroit Startup Week and Quicken Loans folks can maybe get this information out on their website, that'd be super helpful. Now, let's pivot to the loan program that we originally offered as a result of COVID-19. We call it the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So just some background, you know, SBA is a federal agency and we have the whole field operations part of our agency, people like myself out in the fields and district offices around the country working with business owners to help them start, grow, succeed. The one thing that we aren't always known for is our disaster loan program that we have available on any declared disaster by the president. Our disaster loan program kicks in. So in a normal, I say normal, in a natural disaster like a hurricane or a tornado, we have regular disaster loans to replace homes and businesses, the physical damage. But then we also have a portion of that program, which we call the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so that EIDL kicked in when every state was able to get their governor to request a declaration. And so this has been around for COVID, the economic injury disaster loan, since about the middle of March. And who is eligible to apply? And let me say, you might have heard that the EIDL loan program closed down in early May, which it did, reopened for agricultural businesses, and now, as of last week, is back open for non-ag businesses as well. And there's still money in that program. So small businesses can apply, agricultural businesses can apply, small agricultural cooperatives, small aquacultural businesses, and most private nonprofit organizations. The interest rate's pretty nice, 3.75% for small businesses, and if you're a nonprofit, 2.75%. Now, these are not forgivable loans, but they're loans that have a very long maturity, up to 30 years. So the repayment on these loans, the debt service can be very low and very doable given your current cash flow situation because of the really long amortization. The loan funds can be used for a little bit wider arena of items than the PPP loan. Remember, PPP was for rent, utilities, debt on interest payments on a mortgage, and wages. If you have a PPP, an EIDL loan, if you have a current long-term loan, say you just have a regular bank loan, and you can use it to make the fixed payments on that debt. So every month you can use EIDL to make your payments on the debt. You cannot refinance the loan with EIDL. If you have payroll and you're not using a PPP loan, you can use an EIDL loan for payroll, but you can't double dip. Accounts payable, something that PPP doesn't cover. Other bills, these are working capital loans, so things that you need to keep the business open that are short-term obligations or short-term uses of money, you're eligible to use the money that way. Collateral requirements, if the loan is under $25,000, there is no collateral requirement. If it's over $25,000 or more, SBA likes to take real estate as collateral. We will take a second, a third, even a fourth on your home if you have that available. But if you have no collateral and everything else looks good, we're not going to decline the loan for a lack of collateral. So that's the second type of loan program we have available for COVID relief. This third category we call SBA debt relief, and this is also a really nice feature that has been around since the beginning of COVID. If anybody has a current 504 loan, so a 504 loan is a loan that is used for real estate acquisition or heavy equipment and machinery. If you have one of the regular 7A SBA-backed loan, or if you have a microloan from an SBA microlender, those are all loans that are eligible for debt relief. And in this case, from March 27th to September 26th, or 6 months, SBA is going to make those loan payments. It's not a deferment. It doesn't get tacked on to the end of your loan. You don't have to make up those payments. It's a deferral. It's debt relief. We're paying. Obviously, and I need to kind of redo this slide. This is also a program that you're eligible for if you are a new borrower. Maybe you're going out right now to work with your lender to try to obtain some new money through a loan, not PPP, but you're looking at a regular SBA-backed loan. Maybe you're a business that is pivoting and manufacturing something that businesses need or citizens need for COVID recovery. And you need to get some more money and your lender is willing to extend that loan. You meet the requirements of your lender and it's an SBA-backed loan. This debt relief, where SBA makes the payments, applies to new loans as well. So now let me get back to the loan specifics. The size of the loan, the interest rate, the terms, so your maturities, the fees, the use of proceeds, and the collateral All those requirements are determined by the loan program. So they're different for 504, then 7A, then microloan. And so that's something that you would talk with your lender on what the requirements are. For debt relief on new loans that you're trying to obtain, your personal guarantee will be required. Again, this is not PPP. SBA will cover the principal and interest and any fees for 6 months. You would apply with a lender that participates in our program. Again, you can go onto our website and there's a way to identify lenders. If you're thinking about doing that, you should apply now because the loans have to be approved and fully dispersed by September 27th, not just applied for. So, there's a lag time between when you apply, when the lender does all their due diligence, and then when the lender comes to get the funding number, we call it, the approval from SBA. So I, just stress that if that's something you're thinking about, you can get in touch with us and we can provide direction for you. But you want to keep that date in mind. To finish up here, I want to let you know that we have all kinds of consulting resources that we have available all the time, but they're vitally important right now during this COVID pandemic. So obviously you can give our office a call, or better yet, email us, go onto our website, send us an email. Every team member is working virtually and we staff the phones, we check our messages 4 or 5 times a day. We try to call people back within 24 hours, if not the same day. We're having a little glitch in our phone system right now. So we're working with the phone company. So it would be better to go to our website and send us an email. That way we'll be sure to get your email and then we can get in touch with you. One of our most trusted and valued partners is the Michigan Small Business Development Center. This is an SBA funded program. There is a network in every state. In Michigan, we have 11 regional centers and nearly 100 business consultants, and we're hiring more and more contractors with some CARES money that came through so that we can have subject matter experts that the SBA will pay through the Small Business Development Center, will pay consultants to work on your small business. If you need a marketing plan, if you need tax advice, we're hiring a lot of professionals through the Small Business Development Center network. The best way to get a hold of these folks, I work with these consultants all the time and they're just super, they are so dedicated and they're doing virtual consulting. They're putting on really relevant webinars right now. They're sort of acting as a depository of all COVID related information for small businesses in their communities. So, we have regional centers from the UP down to Benton Harbor and everywhere in between. The best place is to go to their website, sbdcmichigan.org. You can right on the homepage sign up for electronically sign up for consulting, and an intake consultant will get back with you, and then you will start engaging with the consultants. There is never a charge for any business consulting through the network, and I believe right now all of their webinars are pretty much at no cost as well. We also have a program called the SBA funded Women's Business Centers. They are doing all kinds of virtual webinars. They also, each of them have run an SBA micro loan program. You don't have to be a woman to take advantage of the microloan program. I have their phone numbers listed here. Again, all of their consulting is free. You'd have to check online on each of their websites to see what kind of virtual webinars they're doing. And I believe that all of our resource partners are pretty much doing them for free. SCORE is a really terrific resource. They are mentors to small business. They are a group of across the country of dedicated men and women who have either owned their own business, we're experts in some type of business acumen, whether it's accounting or engineering. They have industry experience. They've sort of been there, done that. And so they provide real life experience, real world experience. There are 7 chapters in the state. They cover all the areas. They're also doing a lot of virtual webinars on relevant topics, and they're doing virtual mentoring and CEO roundtables for more advanced businesses. And these are it's a great group of men and women. And so you can go to each of their websites and learn about their services. And then finally, we have just an outstanding Veterans Business Outreach Center. It's statewide. It's called Vet Biz Central. You can see their website here. And this is another SBA funded program that serves the military community and their families, and it's staffed by all veterans. So they've been there, they get what you're going through as a veteran, and they do a really terrific job. And finally, I want to leave you with some more information on how to stay in touch with us, how to get updates from SBA. So the best way is to go to sba.gov/updates and choose Michigan. Any kind of outbound communication through our Gov delivery system you will receive. So that's how you can keep in touch with us and find out what kind of webinars we're doing, what kind of opportunities we have, what our partners are doing. You can also follow us on Twitter at SBA_Michigan. And here's our Michigan email. This is our generic email. So this is right now, because of our phone system, this is absolutely the best way to get in touch with us. And I'm happy to field any questions as a follow-up to this presentation. If you have questions on your EIDL, your economic injury disaster loan, say you've already applied, you haven't heard, you could always email the Disaster Customer Service Center or use the 1-800 number. We in the district offices don't have access to the disaster portal, the loan portal. So we can't check on your loan status. If you're encountering a situation where you've gotten declined and you don't understand the reason, or you've had multiple communications from the disaster office and they're not making sense to you, send us an email at michigan@sba.gov. I, at the office, am in charge of escalating and writing up all of those problem cases, and we are elevating them up the chain. So I want to put that out there, that if you have any questions or concerns or frustrations, they're very behind. We are hiring people every day. A couple of the people that retired from our Michigan district office, 30+ years experience, are back working for SBA, just doing disaster. They're working 6 days a week, 12-hour days. And so we were trying to get through the unprecedented amount of applications. But I'm happy to investigate any EIDL loan that you're having a problem with. So that ends my presentation. Abraham, would be happy to take questions and entertain any.
Yes, we do have some questions. I'm trying to read them. So we have a couple questions. How many times can you recertify?
Recertify. If you're a certified business, I would want to know what kind of certification the participant is asking about. So if they could maybe put in the chat box a little bit more on certification.
So I think this person's saying, I've been denied,
Oh,
but I've never got notification as to why. Can I reapply?
You could reapply, but I would encourage that participant to send an email to michigan@sba.gov, include the denial letter, your email address, and your phone number. I'll take a look at it and we'll get back in touch. And it might have been a very generic denial letter, unverifiable information, and we can work around that. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing that they can get approved, but at least we can escalate that up. So have them send it, I'll talk directly, send an email to michigan@sba.gov.
Another one is, hi, this is from Tracy. What loans are Pacific? I think maybe Pacific for freelances, if any.
Yes, if you're a freelance person, you can apply for the PPP loan, and do it quickly because check with your banker, and there's also a list of non-bank lenders like fintech companies, Cabbage and PayPal. And so again, if you want a little bit more guidance on that, send us an email. We'll have a team member get in touch with you.
This is also a great question from Marcia Rogers Quinton. For a sole proprietor, can the full amount of the PPP be used for payroll and still be eligible to be forgiven?
Yes. And there's some further guidance on that, and it has to do with your net income. So if you want, I can send you the regs on that and a little better explanation that I can't just kind of articulate because I don't have the language memorized, and I want to make sure you get the right information. But the short answer is yes. Send me an email, and I'd be happy to have one of our team members or myself walk you through the actual criteria and eligibility.
Another one is, maybe a lot of people are having this question from Maralina Allen. How can we get access to this PowerPoint if possible?
Is that something, Abraham, you can do? Can you guys post it, or Nini?
See, because I would need everyone's contact information.
I gotcha.
I don't have that because I'm just like the front end volunteer. I don't like run this.
Okay.
But I can see our administrators should have like a list of people who registered, and we can send it out to people who registered.
Okay. And if not, if you don't hear, all you participants, all you good people, if you hear from Abraham that it can't be done, then send an email to michigan@sba.gov, and we can send it out.
What was that email again? I want to write it in the chat so people have it.
Yes, it's Michigan spelled out @sba.gov. Wait till you hear from the Detroit Startup Week people to see if they have an easy way to get it out all at once, rather than doing individual emails to us. But if that's what we have to do, we'll do it.
And then vis-a-vis the person that asked about the recertification, they were asked to recertify their banking information a few times.
Okay, yeah, you definitely should send me an email at michigan@sba.gov. Send me the decline letter, your email, your phone number, and I'll take a look at it.
If people do decide to mail to Michigan, mail to michigan@sba.gov, do they get information on contracting also, or on regarding funds? Or only regarding funds?
Yeah, you can send any question to michigan@sba.gov. And this is not just for COVID. And then you can also go on to, if you want to jot this down in the chat, Abraham, this would be helpful. If you go to sba.gov/MI, sba.gov/MI, you can check our events calendar, and you can sign up for SBA's Michigan District Office information. And we are doing things on government contracting coming up. We're working with the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council to do monthly webinars. And I know my colleague, Tom, who heads up our government contracting division, has a number of workshops. So definitely sign up to get our updates, because we're doing SBA as at headquarters in government contracting. They've contracted with some professional consulting firms that are doing professional training on bids and getting your foot in the door and surviving, for government contractors, surviving through COVID. There's a lot of webinars coming up. They're all free. And so you definitely want to get that information.
Thank you so much. And another question is from Deborah. What's available for a home-based business with a dedicated area used just for the business?
So any of the programs that I spoke of, you would be eligible. I can't, if you can, in terms of the rent, it's what you claim on your taxes. So, your wages, without really knowing your industry, but you definitely could look into, it doesn't really differ from our home-based businesses. And again, send a shout out to us and we can walk you through it too.
Awesome. And then another one is Jennifer Troy's asking, what if she never got a denial letter?
Send me an email at michigan@sba.gov.
And I'm not sure if you answered this one earlier, but how often can you apply for EIDL, and will a lack of business bank account stop you from being able to be approved?
It's going to be problematic in terms of if you don't have a checking account. I don't know if EIDL requires that you have a business checking account or a personal checking account. I've not seen anything that says you have to have a business account. How many times can you apply? I would not keep applying. Let's figure out where you're at right now. So has it been 2 weeks? In the EIDL world, that's not all that long. In your world, of course it is. I understand that. Did you get denied? So let's talk about the circumstances and I can provide you some advice. But I would say, generally speaking, don't keep reapplying because it's going to show up as a dupe and it might kick you out of the system. And I'm just worried about that. And it's on a first come, first served basis. And so, I don't know how the system works. So I'd rather have a conversation with you and figure out what your strategy should be.
Another question is, how long does it generally take for applications to turn around?
Oh, a long time. It's taking, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's taking quite a bit of time. There are people today that applied in March that are just getting their EIDL loans and their advances. And, the agency was just overwhelmed. There was no way to anticipate that kind of demand. And so that's where we're at. But I would encourage you to apply because it could be, it could be money that you can use for things that PPP you can't use with PPP. So, and you also have, I forgot to mention this, you also have the option in EIDL to request an advance to your loan. It's up to $10,000 and it's based on $1,000 per employee, including the owner. So if you're just you yourself, then it's $1,000. If you have 15 employees, it's capped at $10,000. If you have 8 employees, including yourself, there's an $8,000 advance. And you don't have to pay it back. It's a grant. Even if you're declined for the loan, which is another reason to apply.
And thank you so much. Kamal is asking, can we apply EIDL and PPP loan?
Yes, you can. There's a couple of nuances with that. First of all, the grant that you get from EIDL, if you get a PPP loan and you had a grant, that grant amount will not be part of the forgivable amount because that would be double dipping. And you can't use the money from EIDL and the money from EIDL and the money from PPP for the same purpose. So if you get a PPP loan, my advice is use that for wages. That will be fully forgiven then if you follow the guidelines, and use EIDL for something else like working capital, things you need, inventory, you need to pay your accounts payable, things of that nature. But you could absolutely have both.
And Marlena Allen's raising her hand, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to talk, and you can ask your question, Marlena.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any way that we can? I work a 9 to 5 right now, but I'm transitioning into becoming an insurance agency owner. So I'm in the process where I'm starting to look for funding sources. So is there any way I can set up a one-on-one appointment with you all?
Yeah. Send us an email, and one of our team members will get in touch with you. There's lots of resources. So we have microloan programs, regular SBA guaranteed loans. There's, depending on where you're at in Michigan, this is a Detroit Startup Week, so maybe you're, in Southeast Michigan. There's a lot of programs Wayne County's doing, the city of Detroit. So we'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think we're going to be really, really, really busy the next couple of days.
I think so. Another
This
question
is great.
is, thank you very much for being so, for answering. What is the grant that was referred to when answering the previous question?
Yeah, if you apply for an EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, part of that application, it's a real short online application. You can, there's a question, are you interested in applying for an advance? We call it advance, but it's really a grant. And that would come before the actual loan. And the amount of money that you would be eligible for is $1,000 for each employee, including the owner. So if you are a sole prop and you're just you yourself, you would get $1,000 advance. Even if you're declined for an EIDL loan for whatever reason, you don't have to pay the advance back, and you would get the advance. If you had 10 employees, including yourself, you would get the full $10,000. If you had 15 employees, because it's capped at 10, you would only get 10. If you had 8 employees, including yourself, you would get $8,000. It's a pure grant, no repayment.
Awesome. I think those are all the, so to be clear, the only way to get the grant/advance is to apply for the EIDL loan?
That's correct. I'm just going to warn everyone, my dog's about to go off. Sorry.
You're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine. Everyone's human, right? Everyone has pets. I believe we do have another person raising their hand, so just give me one moment. Tamisha, you can ask your question because I see your hand is raised right now. Okay, Renee, I'll give you the opportunity to ask your question then. Please feel free to go off mute and ask your question.
Okay, the EIDL loan, does that have the same timing as the other loan you were speaking of? Do we need to apply for that right now as well?
No, Renee, I have not heard of any deadline for the EIDL loan. It just reopened last week, so I suspect that it'll be open for a bit. But how long the money will last, I don't even have any idea how much money is in that fund. So I would not wait, but I don't know of any deadline.
And what are my steps to apply for the EIDL loan?
Oh, just go to SBA.gov.
Okay.
And right on our homepage, there will be a yellow call out box at the top, and it said COVID disaster relief. Click on that, and then just go to funding sources, and you can apply right online.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we need cage code is another question.
Do we need what?
Do we need
Oh, the cage code? No. That's a government contracting term that, yeah, most people wouldn't have or know.
Awesome. I think that wraps it up for all the questions that I see right now. But if everyone could just please give a round of applause for Catherine, because she answered so many questions and provided so much information. So thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you, guys. Great questions. And I'm sorry, he is just bothered by something. He's a German Shepherd. I'll be quick. Yes, please reach out to us because we're all here to serve you and help you through this really tough time. And I wish you all the best.
Catherine, if you can see in the comments, you're getting a lot of like pouring affection, thanking you. Great information and very helpful. Thank you so much. So
Thank
awesome
you,
and
guys.
informative. Thank you so much. So everyone really appreciated it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Guys.
And yeah, don't forget that in the chat, if you look up, I can link it one more time. But the website is sba.gov. And don't forget to look at the screen right now and write down that email because if you guys have any questions, you can send them there.
Yep, Michigan@sba.gov.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to us.
Thanks.
I hope everyone enjoyed the session. Do you have any parting words?
I just wish everyone all the best. It has been a really hard time for us. We hear from business owners, we talk to hundreds and hundreds a week as a region, tens of thousands of business owners, and we take each one so seriously and so much to heart. This is what we do day in and day out. I've been with this agency for almost 32 years, and to hear the heartbreaking stories just really, it really touches us. And so that's why we try to answer each and every one of your questions in the most timely fashion. And there's no question that's too small. Sometimes people just need someone to vent to or someone to just lean on, and we're here for you. And we understand what you're going through, and I wish you all the best.